Le véridique voyage autour du monde d'une plante
Die
imaginaire.
wahrhaftige Reise um die Welt der echten, unwirklichen Pflanze.
Veridично poputование округ света.
A viagem verídica de uma verdadeira planta imaginária.
Правдивое кругосветное путешествие.
À volta do
Raconte son voyage.
The veridical travel around the world of a true imaginary plant traces their voyage, narrating their adventures, the story of the creatures they encounter in all dimensions of existence. Traveling plant is a challenge. Traveling plant is an endeavor. It represents hope and action.
We should ask first what it means to learn from non-human beings, and then become apprentices in these non-human knowledges and wisdoms, one of which is what I call in plant thinking, the wisdom of plants.
The project is about doing something locally, individually, but also about sharing the same platform and the same goal and some kind of same collective project.
Traveling plant is an opportunity to think of possibilities, of paths to move forward. It's about doing and actively looking for ways to move beyond the things that restrain us in our contemporary world.
I really love the idea of a slow project because it gives enough time to go into depth and grow into the depth and to pause whenever necessary.
The traveling plant gives lots of possibilities. There is also, of course, some restrictions which they're coming with it. And these possibilities and restrictions, they're kind of following the understanding of plant world, but also our relationships with it and how do we navigate that.
For me, the traveling plant project has also to do with the travel in time. It's not only that we travel to different countries, but also I personally can have a chance to get back to my childhood.
On the one hand, I associate this kind of plant movement with the diasporic movement, because diaspora, as it is applied to human populations and a kind of spreading away from the place where a certain human population lived, diaspora is really a vegetal term, because it literally means, when translated from the Greek, a division of the seed or the splitting of the seed. So plants are diasporic in that sense that they can send their genetic material far and wide using not only the carriers such as insects, butterflies, bees, and so on, but also working together with the elements.
It's about dealing with the difficulties that we face as a species, as a planet, as a whole, and trying to think through them into possibilities that will make sure that the whole is a surviving one and not an ending one, not one at the edge of a precipice.
For me, this is an opportunity to really work with people I admire and people I find that do really interesting work and have something to say.
In the last years, I'm thinking a lot about to develop better methodologies of empathic strategies, in the sense of like how we could better, when I say we as humans, better reconnect with non-human and all the other creatures with we are sharing the world. And the strategies of empathy, I think they're quite interesting view on it and how to go together further?
Most of my holidays and also time when I was feeling ill, I spent with my grandmother, who was a greenhouse specialist. When I was super small and could not be left alone, she would bring me to the greenhouse with her. And I spent a lot of time playing with the pots, with the plants, as if they were toys. Of course, I have a very deep and intimate relationship with the plants. They were among my first friends.
Perhaps one of the changes that we need to initiate in our thinking about our relation to plants is not to see them as the means to satisfy our needs and desires for food, for beauty, and whatever, but to also adopt the reverse perspective and see how it is that humans are instrumental in satisfying the certain needs of plants, such as spreading away from and moving away from the source or the place where they first grew.
The project was really connecting and connection between humans that will join the project. It's about connections between human and plants, human and these vegetal creatures. And it's about connections between the plants themselves and between us toward the plants, but also the plants toward us.
Humans, we tend to terraform the land and aquaform the aquatic habitats. With all our presence, we are changing lots of environments. What I like with plants, they know how to change that also, and they can be persistent in their own space, like from smallest algae, like plankton, to the big forests and so on. They are with us and we are with them, but relationships has to be built.
For Cultivamos Cultura is an opportunity to also have an active role in recognizing that the planet is a whole, that in our differences, in our specific characteristics, we are still a part of our home. It is about understanding that our planet is our home and that we need to take care of it.
There is so much things that we can learn from the plants. The way how they know how to coexist with other species. Plants are never by themselves. They rely into insects to help to be reproduced. They rely on birds. They live in close contact with all sorts of other animals. They are connected between each other. And we humans a lot of time violate the ecosystems that plants have created, and we don't listen to them. And the project, I think, it enables plants to communicate to us, to transmit a part of their knowledge.
Plants give a lot of solace, so you can find a lot of solace in plants. So I think it's extremely interesting to focus on them and to create awareness and to create an experience that reminds us of what they actually do for us and which place they have in our lives.
When I talk about plants and vegetality, I do not mean only the members of the kingdom Plantae, what in biology is known as the kingdom Plantae. I consider vegetality to be this transversal tendency of existence that we humans also harbor in ourselves, insofar as we are the carriers of what Aristotle called the vegetative soul, for instance. And so, to my mind, we have to turn not only to the least significant of plants outside of ourselves, but also into ourselves, into our own thinking, our own psyche, and our own physiology in order to rediscover the vestiges of vegetal existence that have been repressed and suppressed precisely by this metaphysical tradition that wanted to maintain the identity of the human as the highest living being at the pinnacle of existence, without considering obviously the animality of human beings, but not to say anything of the vegetality of the human. It is the value of learning something from plants that we cannot forget about today. And this is where vegetality enters the fray.
The Veridical travels around the world of a true imaginary plant.
Erzählt ihre Abenteuer, Geschichten.